Hello, class, and welcome to our next discussion topic, which is Chapter 5, which now we're going to spend this week talking about recruitment. And what's really interesting about recruitment is that it's usually, for a lot of HR professionals, this is usually the field that a lot of HR professionals get into first before they get into anything else. So, like for me, for example, when I first graduated from college, my first HR job was in recruitment. And I think a lot of employees kind of, we'll say, cut their teeth in recruitment because, recruiting it's about selling the company. It's about passion. There's not a whole lot of training that can go into it, and helping you try to recognize what is important and how we can draw people into a company is usually kind of where people get started. Because again, you usually as an employee, you just went through the recruitment process. So you're aware of it, you know how it works, you knew what drew you to the company. So the ability to sell that to other people, usually is a little bit easier. So again, a lot of employees that work in HR, especially even those that have been in HR 20, 30 years, get started in recruitment. A couple things that I want to draw your attention to from the book itself is the book talks about forecasting, and about how do we determine what is the appropriate labor supply? How do we determine what is the appropriate way that we determine how the optimal amount of people that we have in an organization? So make sure you pay attention to that information as well. The book also talks a lot about outsourcing versus offshoring. Instead of, hiring somebody here locally, we may send that job, overseas and have another country work on it, or maybe even digitize it. In recruitment, one of the biggest trends over the last several years is not a lot of whole companies, especially larger companies, do paper applications anymore. Everything is online. Even 20, 25 years ago, online applications were non-existent. And now, everybody does their applications online. At least the vast majority of companies do. And not only that, even how we recruit. It used to be that you would post a job in a newspaper, maybe post it in a magazine, and that's how you eventually got people to recruit. That's how you got the word out. Now you just take a real simple concept, put it online, and you're good to go. Social media through like Facebook and LinkedIn and even Instagram, you can post jobs to these things. And again, you can reach literally millions of different people. Here at Oklahoma State and a lot of higher ed institutions, we use a company called higheredjobs.com. And it is the largest database for higher ed jobs in the U.S. So we can take 5 minutes and post a job there. And then literally a couple of hours later, I may have 1,000 people that have clicked on my job. So it's amazing what recruitment has done, especially online. We'll talk about employment at will concepts as well as kind of due process policies when it comes to recruitment. As you'll see it from the book, employment at will basically means that you don't have an employment contract, that we can separate at any time, both of us. So you're free to quit at any time, and and you're welcome to do that, or I can, release you from your employment at any given time. Obviously the most famous, employment contracts are probably in sports or in movies where you actually have a contract, and then if you quit or if they let you go, either you owe them money or they owe you money to complete that contract. Well, employment at will, which is what we're primarily going to talk about in this class, is basically you're free to leave at any time. And especially if you work for a public employer, you work for a state agency or the federal government, more often than not, you're guaranteed what we call due process rights, which allows you to be able to have and be able to look at your job, and be able to kind of sell yourself on why you believe you should have that job if they want to release you early. So please make sure you pay attention to all those concepts within the chapter. Again, a lot to do this week. We have another chapter to look at as well. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, class.